ॐ अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. ॐ नमो भगवते रामकृष्णाय. Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi by Swami Gambhirananda. Page 15. The Advent. We do not know when the Mukherjees came to Jairambati. From two old documents, it appears that sometime in the middle of 1669, a certain king of Vishnupur named Sri Chaitanya Singha gifted about 6 acres of land free of all rents to one Khelaram, a forefather of the Mukherjees, for the maintenance of his family and for carrying on the worship of Dharma. From this it appears that the Mukherjees had been worshippers of the deity even earlier and might have come to the village in that capacity. This was perhaps during the transitional period in the history of Bengal when Buddhism was being absorbed into Hinduism together with its deities, of whom Dharma under various names was one. But once the Mukherjees had set their feet in the village, they became the family priests of the Hindus near about and thus gradually established the supremacy of Hinduism, owing to which Simhavayini, the Hindu deity whom too the Mukherjees worship, became the presiding goddess. The size occupied by the Holy Mother Temple was perhaps the first place where the Mukherjees settled. This is borne out by the Shiva image in black stone, which was found underground when the foundation for the temple was being dug. This must have once been worshipped by the Mukherjees. The mother lived here till she was 9 years old, and this was also the place which witnessed her marriage. My marriage was celebrated in the old house, she recounted. We shifted to the new house, which later fell to her brother Varada's share when I was 9 years old, when the old house became too small. Ramachandra, a worthy descendant of the Mukherjees, whose tutelary deity was Rama, was respected at Jairambati for his godliness, suavity of temper, and compassion for all. He married Shyama Sundari Devi, daughter of Sri Haridas Mazumdar of Shihor. The wife too vied with her husband in the practice of virtue. Her purity, simplicity, and fortitude were the talk of the village. The Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi was born of this pious couple. The few sentences which occasionally dropped from the mother's lips with regard to her parents go to show how virtuous they were and in what veneration she held them. My parents, she said, were very good. My father was a devout follower of Rama. He was very orthodox and would not accept any gift from people of other castes. How kind my mother was, how she would feed people, and how she took care of them, and how guileless she was. And she added, my father liked smoking, but as he smoked, he was so simple and humble that he would address in a friendly way any passerby who crossed his door and would say, sit down, brother, and have a smoke. And then he himself would fill up pipe after pipe for him. Will the Lord be born where the parents are not self-composed? About her mother, she said, my mother was Lakshmi, goddess of fortune herself, so to say. Throughout the year, she would gather all sorts of things and keep them in order. She would say, my household is for God and His devotees. This household was, as it were, a part and parcel of her being. What pains did she not take to keep it in order? Ramachandra had three younger brothers, Trailokanath, Ishwar Chandra, and Neel Madhav, all of whom lived together. This family was never prosperous and somehow made both ends meet with the little that was earned by farming and priesthood. And yet Ramchandra was unstinting in his charity, of which we shall have some proof in due course. Once, when Shyamasundari Devi was living with her father in the northern part of Shihor, she had occasion to sit in the dark beside a potter's oven under a bale. Bale is bilwa, Agel marmelos tree. There suddenly issued a jingling sound from the direction of the oven, and a little girl came down from the branches of the tree. She laid her soft hands around Shyamasundari's neck, whereupon she fell down unconscious. She had no idea how long she lay there thus. Her relatives came there searching for her and carried her home. On regaining consciousness, she felt as though the little girl had entered her womb. Ramachandra was then in Calcutta, in search of some means of earning money for his family. The thought of his family's poverty weighed heavily on his mind. One day, before he had decided to start for the city, he was engrossed in that thought. Then he fell asleep and dreamt that a little girl of golden complexion embraced him from behind by throwing her delicate arms round his neck. The incomparable beauty of the girl, as also her invaluable ornaments, at once marked her as out of the common run. Ramachandra was greatly surprised and asked, "Who are you, my child?" The girl replied in the softest and sweetest of voices, "Here am I come to you." Ramachandra woke up, and the conviction grew in him that the girl was none other than Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, whose appearance implied that the time was auspicious for him to go out in quest of money. Accordingly, he left for Calcutta. We do not know how far Ramachandra was successful in his quest. All that we know is that after returning home, he heard what had happened to his wife, and spiritually minded as he himself was, he readily believed everything. Henceforth, this holy Brahmin couple lived the purest of lives in expectation of the divine child. Ramachandra had the highest regard for his wife and never touched her person till the birth of the Holy Mother. Shyamasundari Devi was conscious of her unique fortune, and long after she said to Yogin Ma, a lady devotee of the Master and later a constant companion of the Holy Mother, "How beautiful I looked when I was in the family way, how thick were my tresses, and how many pieces of cloth were presented to me during that time." Gradually, the time of confinement approached. Autumn had now passed, and it was the beginning of the month of Paush when winter had just set in. This was one of the happiest times in Bengal villages. The harvest was over and the granaries were full. The fields around again began to smile with the shooting forth of the summer crop. The new harvest festival had just been finished, and the little children were counting the days for the festival of the month ending, when they would have a feast of cakes. Month ending. The note says Paush Sankranti, roughly corresponding to the winter solstice. The Christian world was eagerly waiting for the Merry Christmas Day. The Tantrikas were busy paying visits to the Kali temples, especially as such visits were thought to be very meritorious in that month. And it was the day of winter solstice, when the longest night was over and the sun was beginning its northward course, the day on which the Hindu gods and goddesses wake up from their long slumber of 6 months. During such a time, a little after Thursday evening, on the 8th Posh, 22nd December 1853, when the night had spread her star-spangled cloth over the village of Jairambati to lay it asleep after the day's labor, the blowing of conch shells from Ramchandra's house announced the happy news of the advent of Sri Saradamani Devi. Soon an astrologer was called in, and in accordance with the disposition of the stars and planets at the time, the child was ceremoniously named Thakur Muni. Her more popular name was, however, Sarada Muni. Note: it is customary to have two names, one for astrological and the other for common use. We have it on the authority of Swami Gaurishwarananda, who had it from the mother herself, that Cheman Kari was the actual common name she was given. But her mother's sister, who had lost a daughter called Sarada, requested Shyamasundari Devi to change her child's name to Sarada so that the bereaved lady might imagine that the new child was none other than her own, though in another form. Sarada was the first child of her parents. She was followed by a sister named Kadambini, and then by 5 brothers named Prasanna Kumar, Umesh Chandra, Kali Kumar, Varada Prasad, and Abhaycharan. Kadambini died childless soon after her marriage with Sudharma Chakravarti of Kokanda. Umesh too died before marriage at the age of 18 or 19. Abhay died just after passing out of a medical school, leaving behind him a widow and a daughter, of whom we shall have much to say in future. The other brothers grew up and set up separate houses and reared their own families. Uncle, the devotees of the Holy Mother consider her brothers and brothers' wives as their own uncles and aunts, and so also her nieces or their cousins, whom they call sisters. Uncle Kali built his house south of the ancestral home. Uncle Varada's house was to the northwest of Uncle Kali's. Southwest of this house was the Kalugede, Kalu's pond mentioned earlier, which was used by the Mukherjees for cleaning the household utensils. South of the Holy Mother Temple and north of Uncle Kali's house was the house of Uncle Prasanna. The mother spent a long part of her life in the cottage of Uncle Prasanna, which has since been purchased by the authorities of the Ramakrishna Mutt and added to the Holy Mother Temple properties, in which also are included the Punya Pukur and the new house of the mother. North of this cottage was the gateway of the house of Uncle Surya, who was the son of Ishwar Chandra Mukherjee, one of the uncles of the Holy Mother. Her eldest uncle Trailokya was a Sanskrit scholar, but he died in youth soon after his marriage. The youngest uncle, Neel Madhav, remained a bachelor and never parted from Ramachandra. After the death of Rampriya Devi, his first wife, Uncle Prasanna married Suhasini Devi. She had 2 daughters, Nalini and Sushila, or Maku, by his first wife, and by his second wife he had 2 daughters, Kamala and Vimala, born during the mother's life, and a son, Ganapati, born after her demise. Uncle Kali had 2 sons, Bhudev and Radharaman, by his wife Shubodh Bala Devi. We have already said that Uncle Abhay left behind him his widow Surabala and an only daughter Radharani, affectionately called Radhu or Radhi. Uncle Prasanna had a moderate supplementary income from his priestly services in Calcutta. Owing perhaps to an early life of poverty, he was very frugal in his ways. With the money he saved, he purchased paddy fields and bullocks and thus improved his condition. Kali Kumar was irritable by nature. It is said that before his birth, his mother became very much overwhelmed by the loss of some children. When, with the help of some medicines given by a woman who worshipped the goddess Kali, and with her blessings too, she got Kali Kumar as her son. And that accounted for the boy's irascibility. Kali stayed at Jairambati, and as an orthodox Brahmin, he attended to his daily worship and the observance of ceremonies, so that he was greatly respected. Uncle Varada generally stayed at Jairambati, though he often went to assist Prasanna at Calcutta. The mother spent her early days in a poor family, but poverty was in a sense a boon and made life sweeter by providing greater opportunity for her to reveal her affection for all around. Ramchandra could not raise enough paddy from his lands to meet the expenses of the family, so he grew some cotton also. Shyamasundari Devi would carry the little girl Sarada to the cotton field, where she would lay her down and go to pluck the cotton pods. When Sarada grew up to be a little girl, she would help her mother in this work, as also in spinning sacred thread with the cotton, which would fetch some cash for cloth and other family requirements. Sarada had also to look after her brothers. I used to go with them, she said, to bathe in the Ganges, that is, in the Amodar, which was our Ganges. The popular belief supported by scripture is that all streams become as sacred as the Ganges at holy moments. After finishing our holy bath, I would eat with them, some fried rice there, and then bring them home. The Ganges had always an uncommon attraction for me. As for other engagements, she said, as a girl, I would plunge into neck-deep water to cut grass for the cattle and walk to the fields with fried rice for the laborers. During 1 year, when locusts had nearly destroyed the crop, I went round the fields gathering paddy. As regards her education, she said, I sometimes accompanied Prasanna, Ramnath, a cousin, and others when they went to school in their boyhood, and thus I learnt a little. In addition to these brief and casual references to her childhood days, some information can be gathered from her contemporaries. Thus, Sri Raj Mukherjee's sister Aghoramani Devi, a companion and a playmate of the mother's girlhood days, said, the mother was very simple by nature. She was simplicity incarnate. Nobody had any altercation with her during childhood sports and games, in which she very often played the master or the mistress of a house. She of course made dolls and played with them, but she preferred worshipping with flowers and bay leaves Kali and Lakshmi in images fashioned by herself. When other girls fell out, she would mediate, settle their quarrels, and re-establish cordial relations. Once during the worship of the goddess Jagaddatri, Sri Ramhriday Ghoshal of Haldepukur was present. Finding the mother lost in meditation before the deity, he kept his eyes fixed on her for a long time. But as he could not make out as to who was the deity and who the mother, he left the place in fear. Other old people would say, from her young days, Sarada was as diligent in her work as she was intelligent, quiet, and well behaved. She had never to be asked to work of her own accord, and with her own resourcefulness, she would meticulously perform her duties. The self-identification of the mother with Jagaddatri in her meditation, which became pronounced enough to awe a casual observer, was not an isolated event in this unique life. So welcome to this 5th week of readings and reflections on the life of Holy Mother. we saw the first chapter, how beautifully Swami Gambhiranandaji, the author of the book, had presented us that what is the necessity of the birth of Holy Mother and why the divinity chose that simple, poverty-ridden village called Jairambati, and how Jairambati was very conducive for the manifestation of the powers of the incarnation who has already been born in another village nearby called Kamarpukur. So, the difference between the birth of Holy Mother and all of our births. If you ask what is the difference, he says the book is about the extraordinary birth of the Holy Mother. So why it should be called extraordinary? The Vedanta has got an answer. It says when God incarnates as a human being, that incarnation is called he has taken birth. So when we are all born as babies, we are also told that we have taken birth. So the difference between these two, the jivas as we are called, the jivatmas, and the God's birth is that God take his birth on his own. That means there is no type of karmic effects of the previous birth which is goading him or impelling him to take a human body. While in our cases, we are all being born, we also take birth like the incarnation, but then there are past karmic effects which are behind us, pushing us to come and take a birth in this life. So this is called incarnation or reincarnation, we use that word also, or rebirth is a simple word. The rebirth happens to us. But God also has got many births. He comes in different incarnations, that means he takes many births. But then he decides when to come. But in our cases, we are pushed by our karmic effects, as well as the thoughts, the thought force which is called bhavana, combined with our pancha pranas and with the subtle body, it pushes us to choose our own parents. So the Vedanta says in yoga, it is said that every jiva chooses his or her parents. It is not that accidentally we are born to some parent. We choose our parent and we decide if we are taking birth under these parents, then we will have further progress in our spiritual life. And that's why we choose. And then we select a parent and then come to that family. So, every jiva comes into this world because of the past actions and thoughts, karma and bhavana. While the incarnation and his powers manifest in the human form on their own. So, that is why the life of Holy Mother is an extraordinary life. It is not a normal, ordinary life. So if that is so, then Gambhiranandaji goes into details why Jairambati was chosen. And he already says that Jairambati became prosperous after the birth of the Holy Mother. So we see here, when Holy Mother was just born, how that Mukherjee's families were in dire poverty. He had to go to Calcutta to do priestly work and get some money. The Brahmins in those days were not rich enough. Though one of the land records say that long before one of the ancestors were given a gift, a land piece by one of the kings of that place. Okay, they have got a land, they have got some crop to come every year. So food is there. Otherwise, other facilities, big houses are not with them. So they have to very much struggle for their day-to-day life also. And when the crops fail, it is really a problem for them to take the family further. So in this consideration only we see that how there are certain indications in dreams that has happened here. The Ramchandra Mukherjee, the father of Mother Sarada, before her birth, had a dream where a small little girl comes and embraces him on his neck with her little hands, and he sees on her hands wonderful ornaments, and he thinks that it is Mother Lakshmi has come and asking him to go. He was thinking whether to go to Calcutta or not. So that dream, he felt it's a yes, you can go. So like that he felt, and he went to Calcutta and came back. And here, the mother of Sarada Devi, Shyama Sundari Devi, she had another very spiritual experience. She was in Shihor, and she went there and she sat under a bale tree. The bale tree is considered very, very holy for the worship of Lord Shiva. And that place she suddenly felt one girl is coming down from the tree and embracing this lady and said, I am coming to your house. So that was a great vision that she had. And she felt she is pregnant with a child. And when husband came back from Calcutta, she told, and they lived the purest of the life. They say that the author says that such a pious Brahmin life they led in such a way because they felt that Mother Lakshmi is coming. Vaikunta teke lokiyelo, Prithvi te mati te Jairam bati te. There is a beautiful Bengali song that says, from Vaikunta, Vaikunta is the place of Narayana, and Narayana's spouse is Lakshmi. So Lakshmi came from Vaikunta, from that loka, to this Prithvi, to this earth, and she came as Sarada. So there is a belief that Mahalakshmi came in the form of Sarada. So there are in our prayers also, when somebody is having problems with poverty, with finance, etc., we tell them, why don't you pray to Mother? And if it is possible, if you are in India, I am telling you, so if it is possible, we would say, why don't you go to Jairam Bati and pray to Holy Mother there. She was born there. The Mother Lakshmi has come there to that field. So her presence you can feel there. Go and pray there. And many people have done that. And they have got the result also. So recently I met one gentleman. He is a doctor, and I met him in Bardwan, and he was telling Jairam is very near to his house, but he had never gone. And he met a senior Swami, and he told that my practice is not taking off, somehow that I am suffering and I am not having money at all. My family is now increasing, what to do? So that Swamiji advised him, go to Jairam Bhatti and meet Mother and tell her. As you talk to your own mother, you tell her, I am having this problem, please resolve this. And he said he went and 3 nights he stayed. And after his return, suddenly he found within 2 years his practice picked up and became a good doctor, and his famous became, and then his popularity became so famous, and people started coming from different distant places. And today he has got a big house where he takes all the Swamis there, feeds them. Such a prosperity has come. So he was telling, only by praying to Mother. So the question comes in the minds of people. Recently I got a letter, one lady from India. She says, should we ask Sri Ramakrishna or Holy Mother other than the divine qualities? So Swami Vivekananda has taught us that as Naren, he was asked to go and pray to Mother Kali by Thakur himself. Go and pray. And what to pray? Little money he wanted. His family was in dire poverty. Go and pray. But Naren could not pray. He prayed only Viveka, Vairagya, Bhakti, Jnana. These are the 4 things he could pray. and he could not pray for that. So, should we go to God and pray for all mundane things? Or should we pray only Jnana, Vairagya, Bhakti, etc.? Like that, she has asked me. But in my life, I need certain things. So should I not pray? Is it proper or not? She wants to know. So it is true. This question comes. So, Bhukti Mukti Pradaya Devi Mahalashmi Namostute. One hymn on Mahalashmi, it's called Mahalashmi Ashtakam. It says, Bhukti Mukti Pradaya Devi. What does Mahalashmi gives? She gives not only Mukti, the liberation, but she gives Bhukti also. Bhukti means anything that enjoyable for life. So, childless couple wanting a child, a poverty-ridden person asking for wealth, or something that's anything that you want, a good health, all those things you want for your life, and those things can be asked. Otherwise, how is she can be termed as she is the giver of bhukti? So bhukti means bhoga items. Those things you have. So that is called bhukti. So bhukti also she gives, as well as mukti also she gives. So the goddess can be prayed to what you need. But if you are very greedy and ask in your prayer all those things, sometimes some people say that they are granted and some people say they are not granted. If they are not granted, you must take it as you are not in need of those things, and that's why God watches. That's why some people contest the idea that Sri Ramakrishna was Kalpataru. Kalpataru means, the tree that gives anything that you ask. Is Ramakrishna such a power that you go and ask anything that he will give? He will see whatever you want, whether that is conducive to your spiritual welfare or not. If that is not a spiritual welfare conduciveness, then he won't give. That's why you cannot call exactly Ramakrishna as a Kalpataru. That's one such argument is put forward. So, people go and ask. You are ready to ask, okay, you ask. But if it is not conducive to your spiritual life, that may not be given by God. At that time, you cannot blame the God also. Oh, God has not given. Because sometimes He gives, and then you are in a problem. You find. So, I say as a joke, in South Africa, I used to cut a lot of jokes, So, one joke I used to say for them is, one fellow went and prayed to Mother Lakshmi like that. He said, I want to see notes and notes and notes. I should be surrounded by notes of money only. And he got a job as a bank teller. Plenty of notes is counting every day. Because that is what you get. So, sometimes you ask. So, it is given also by God. But then you do not know what meaning, what does it mean for you. So, whatever is conducive to your spiritual life, you are fit to ask. So, you find that how Jairambati became such a beautiful village after the birth of Mother. So many things started happening in that village, and the village growing in prosperity, that we'll see that. So, after telling that, now Swami Gambiranji goes into the family background of Holy Mother. It's very interesting. It is indeed a very big family, I say. And, the family is such a big family. It will be Mother. Sarada was the first child of her parents. She was followed by a sister named Kadambari and by the 5 brothers. So, all the 5 brothers' names they gave as Prasanna Kumar, Umesh Chandra, Kali Kumar, Varada Prasad and Abhay Charan. About the sister, you understand that Kadambari died childless soon after her marriage. So, one sister was there for Mother, she died. So, now Mother had no sister. But then she had 5 brothers. Of the 5 brothers, 3 brothers died. So, only 3 brothers were left. And 3 brothers established their own families, naturally. So, they had their houses and they stayed there. But all of them were very closely associated. with this family. So then each brother's life he mentions here. I think for our interest, this book is going to deal with one of the relatives of Holy Mother. That is, we will see that Abhay Charan. Abhay Charan was brother of Holy Mother, and this Abhay Charan, Abhay left behind him his widow Surabala and an only daughter Radharani, affectionately called Radhu. This Radhu, you will find, she will be coming all along in this life. At several places, Radhu will be coming, and sometimes you get so much disgusted with this Radhu because she would even fire Holy Mother in such bad terms. She would take Holy Mother to task, but in spite of all the sufferings Holy Mother was receiving from Radhu, Holy Mother had great affection for Radhu. Only in the end portion we are able to understand why did Radhu was kept in the life of Holy Mother, and that we understand for our benefit. If Radhu was not there, what would have happened? That author Kambirananji goes into details in one of the later chapters, and he says, if Radhu was not there, I am just breaking the suspense now. Radhu was not there, Holy Mother would not have kept her mind at the level that we need her. Her mind would have gone so high as Sri Ramakrishna's mind was. We saw that in the gospel class last week. We saw how Master himself asked Yam, tell me what is logic. And Yam starts telling the induction and deduction methods of the logic and start telling him all the technicalities of logic. And Master is listening to him. That Master Yam is telling him, and Sri Ramakrishna was listening to him, and Yam could notice Sri Ramakrishna slowly withdrawing his mind and get into samadhi. So that was the case of Ramakrishna, muhur muhu. So muhur muhu means again and again. Again and again he went into samadhi. So that case would have happened to Holy Mother. Then how would have got Holy Mother for us? So that is the reason why Radhu was kept with her. This is a great secret that we shall explore later in this book. So that Radhu is a very important member, and she will come again and again. That's why it's very important here. Then in this poor family, Mother spent her early days. You see, they had a paddy field, but paddy was not coming every year. So Ramchandra Mukherjee had put another crop of cotton also. So in the cotton field, the Shama Sundari would go and plug the pots. At that time, this little girl, Sarada, used to stay there. Now we find one of the important aspect of Mother Sarada. How did Sarada name be applied to Holy Mother? Because when she was born, she was given another name, what we call the astrological name. And astrological name was, where is that, the astrological name? Yes, Thakur Muni. That is the astrological name, ceremoniously named Thakur Muni. But Swami Gaurishanja says he had heard from Mother herself that she was called the Khemonkari, that is Kshemonkari. Khemonkari was the name that was given to her. And then later it was Saradamani. So the Saradamani name also came because of one of her mother's sister. She lost her daughter called Sarada. So she wanted to see this girl as Sarada. So she wanted to call this baby. So the Sarada name stuck to her. And then it stuck to her, though it came from outside, not a ceremonious name, but it was ideal name. Because Sri Ramakrishna later says that Saraswati Sarada is indeed Saraswati, he says. Now we are going to have on 10th we are going to have Saraswati Puja. You'll see that how Mother is Saraswati. She has come to teach this world. Everybody want to have the knowledge. So that's why she has come. So the Saraswati, that is her name, that Saraswati is called Sarada. So that way, that name has become very apt for her. And also you say, these 2 names, 3 names, these are all very normal. You see, in India, every child born, you will find one astrological name and one calling name. And sometimes when they go to school, they have another name. So even you find in Sri Ramakrishna's case, it became, so he was born, when Ramakrishna was born, his name, astrological name was Shambhunath, which is Shiva's name. Shambhunath was the astrological name. That name is hardly known to us because that is never taken there. But another name was given to him, it's Gadadhar. So Gadadhar Chattopadhyaya, that is known to everyone. So, and that's why he was called Gadai. And then later, this Gadadhar Chattopadhyaya became Gadadhar Gadadhar Chatterjee, and then later only Gadadhar Purohit Mushai, like that they used to call him. And then that Gadai of Tiwad also went away. And when he came to Dakshineswar, his name was changed to Ramakrishna. So the Ramakrishna name stayed. So like that, in Saradamani also we find that 2 names are there. So it's a very normal thing that these type of different types of names are there. I have found in other places also, in other cities also I have found like that everyone has got 3 names, 2 names like that. In this country also, I found that yes, in Irish land also, people have 2 names, 3 names like that. And some names are very common, like Paddy. Everywhere you go, the Paddy word is so common here. So Swami Purnananji used to tell me, this Paddy name is very common here. He said, then only I learned. Then I started seeing everywhere Paddy wagon. And then from Paddy, this word is used everywhere. And there is an electrical company called Paddy something, who gives a lot of funny advertisements all over the Dublin. You can see that. You go there, some funny advertisements you can see. That is given by these Paddy fellows. So the Paddy is a very common name. Like that you find. So different names are given to that. But then Sarada name has stuck. But now among the devotees, even we do not take the name of Sarada. We only say Shri Ma, or for short Shri Ma. That is the name that is stuck. That means the mother. That name is stuck. Now among the devotees of Ramakrishna, if anybody says Shri Ma, it means only Mother Sarada Devi, none else. Not your own mother or not others' mothers, only Shri Ma Sarada is understood. So Shri Ma is, that's why in Jairambati temple, on the top, you will find in Bengali that letter has been written, that only Ma, that is written. So that is the mother. So that name has stuck for her. So in English, of course, we call her the adjective Holy Mother. That is very good, Shri Ma. And now, after explaining the relations of Holy Mother, Swami Gambhirananji is now going little forward. He has come to the childhood days. In childhood days, what was her mother's nature? Not like other girls. This we find very strangely, because she, whenever all the children come together and they play, it is all natural. But it has been found by the observers that she was the leader of that group. The same quality we find in Narendranath. When Narendranath used to play with his friends, and he was always be the leader. And you find in Sri Ramakrishna also. See, they are born leaders. That's why we say that they, from the childhood onwards, they take up that. Even if 10 children, 5 children come together in our ashram, sometimes I watch the children. Among themselves, one boy or one girl seems to be dominating. She or he becomes the leader. And all the other children listen to her. So once children were playing here, I was sitting and watching. One girl was directing the other girls. You do this, you run like that. So she was taking the leadership. So it seems that. So mother was always the leader. Second point that we see in mother's life was she was a problem solver. Among the girls, naturally there will be some type of problems come instead of talking, or they get some type of tiff and then they don't talk to each other and they try to go behind like that. So in those cases, this girl was the person who would call them and bring amiability and amicability. So she would be like a judge and she would bring them together. So that is a wonderful quality which she continued till her end. So when she became a holy mother, and people used to go for their own problems, and she would bring both the parties and sit with them, talk to them and resolve the issues. So the resolving the problem issues was the nature of Holy Mother. That is very important one, we see that. And another important, fascinating aspect of this small girl Sarada was her divinity being manifested in that young age. She was hardly a 5 or 6 year old. She was sitting when the village is having a Jagadadri Puja. In that, one gentleman is a great venerable Brahmin priest. He has come from another village, and Haldepukur, and he is sitting there. And there is a murti of Jagadadri is kept in front of him. And then this girl is sitting. And he is looking at the murti and is looking at her. Again and again his eyes are shifting from one place to another place. But what he sees was suddenly found that Jagadadri whom people are worshipping, that Jagadadri is sitting there. So he got really upset and he was so fearsome. He felt how Jagadadri mother has come from there and sitting there, and he got nervous and he ran away from that place. And later he used to say, I saw Sarada Jagadadri. In later days, we are going to see how Holy Mother manifested as Jagadadri to one of the devotees. That's a wonderful incident. Hari Premananda, one Swami's name, he was there as a sevak to Holy Mother. And he came to Holy Mother when he was just a boy. So Holy Mother and him, that relation is very close relation. As a boy he came. So as her son. And he used to come, wash her clothes, put the clothes for the drying, clean the room where Holy Mother stays, etc., all types of, and helping Holy Mother in washing utensils. All those things he used to do. And he grew up. And then he became a monk in the Ramakrishna mission. Though he became a monk as Hari Premananda, but then he used to be serving Holy Mother, putting oil for her head and feet, etc., helping her, bringing hot water for her for taking bath. Everything he used to do. This Hari Premananda in Bakuda, that is 2 years before her leaving this body, she was sitting in that place in Bakuda village. And Hari Premananda was massaging her feet. While massaging her feet, he closed his eyes and a thought came into his mind. He is now a young man. He is touching the feet of Holy Mother and is telling everybody who comes to Holy Mother is telling her as you are the Divine Mother Durga. If she is Divine Mother really, and people say you are the Mother Jagadadri, you are Mother Mahalakshmi, you are Saraswati, like that with all the divine names they are calling Mother. If Mother is really divine, how is it that her feet are so oldish? The nerves are visible, the veins have come. I am seeing in my hand, it is not like the Devi's feet. We see the pictures of Mother Durga, Mother Lakshmi, how beautiful their form, how beautiful their feet. It's not like that. Like that, the doubt came in Hari Premananda. And then, while touching the feet and massaging, suddenly he felt that those feet have changed their proportion. They are no more the dry, bony feet. Suddenly they have got flesh over that. Suddenly he felt as if it is a young woman's feet, like that it has become fully nourished feet. And then he slowly opened his eyes and he found that old whitish cloth, that cotton cloth, that poor woman's cloth she was wearing, that was no more there. He could see a shining, a sari, with colorful sari. And then slowly he raises his head and he sees she is fully with all the ornaments of Jagaddatri. And when he looks at her face, the face is a young Jagaddatri mother. She is sitting there in that chair. And she has got this crown, and in her neck that snake is standing, and it's some completely divine form of Jagaddatri. And he could not even stand that scene. He became unconscious. After how long he was unconscious, he doesn't know. And slowly he started hearing the voice of Holy Mother, that old lady. She is calling, Hari, my Hari, what has happened to you? Get up, get up. Like that, Mother is calling. Hearing the old mother's voice, then he slowly opened his eyes and looked around, and he saw the same Holy Mother sitting. So he had the darshan of Mother Jagaddatri. Mother could manifest. Like that we will find later how she manifests a divinity as Mother Kali at one place, as Mother Durga, as the different forms of Mother Manasa. All those things we will see in due course. So, Holy Mother is definitely, according to Swami Gambhirananji, is the divine incarnation which are the powers of the Ishvara, of the incarnation. So when the incarnation has come, he not only comes alone, he doesn't come alone, he comes with his powers into this world, and those powers are manifested, in this case, as a separate, in a feminine form, and that is Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi. We shall proceed further in the next week. Om Kripam Kuru Mahadevi Suteshu Pranateshu Cha Charanasraya Danena Kripamayi Namostute. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.